Well, it's Judgment Day. Ray McClellan is here. We're at Full Throttle Customs. We got the car up on the dyno. It scares me because I'm picturing it start up. But you did a leak down test on it already,
yeah,
right?
we did compression leak down. We wanted to kind of get an idea of the condition of everything before we hammered the hell out of it on dyno.
All right. What do you think? How'd the leak down work?
Compression's a little bit low. We have a lot of leak down on one bank. Passenger bank's got a fair amount. So.
Wow. I don't. There's no passenger in the car.
Well,
So as long as the driver's side is cool.
Driver's
That's
side's in good
side.
shape. Yeah.
So the leak down works. I've never done a leak down. You take the plugs out.
Yeah, we pull all the plugs out, open up the throttle plate, we bring the piston to top dead center at the rockover point. We pump in 100 pounds of pressure, and then it'll tell us like if it goes 25%. Like in this case, we had a few cylinders that were over 40% leakage. And then at that point, you determine, is it going past the rings, is it coming into the exhaust, or is it going through the intake? So at this point, we've got a little bit past the rings and then mainly the exhaust, so we need some head work.
So there's exhaust valve problems.
Yeah, I would guess that,
on, mainly on one bank.
Yeah, one bank's the worst.
So if you were to give this car or this engine a percentage, 100%, meaning, you know, freshly built, rings tight, valves great, everything's great, what would you say this engine is at?
I'd probably say you're in the 60% range.
60% range. Now, how often do you test an engine and you're down? I mean, nothing comes off 100%, usually, unless it drives straight from the dealership.
Yeah,
here, right?
well, even then, I mean, you'll experience about 5 to 8% loss on a new motor. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But you know, it depends on how much it's raised, the RPMs, where it's set up, how it's tuned. There's a lot of variables that come into play. So, and then also the big thing is cooling. So I'm not sure why we have such a big bank-to-bank issue. As the engine's torn apart, we could find out more about it.
Yeah. So why did one bank go south, but the other bank?
Yeah, you have a little bit of
fine.
oil. Oil's getting into the intake system, and it's equally going to all the cylinders. But which you could see in the exhaust pipe, there's a little bit of oil coming out of there too as well.
Yeah.
So, but it, you know, the fact that we have that much leakage on one side. So basically, in theory, if you have a one bank running 100% and the other bank running 70%, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I really don't want to push it on a
So it's a
dyno.
little depressing. But we're going to fire it up. We're going to put it through its paces, but we're not going to push it that hard because it's not in the kind of shape where we can push it that hard.
I think, you know, just in a little bit of moving that we had here, it's running pretty rich. It's pretty hard to move this thing around a good bit. I'm sure at the higher RPMs we'll be able to see, but we're going to do a step test. So we'll only go halfway up the RPM at wide open throttle, make sure the air-fuel ratio is okay, and if it is, we'll come back down and then we'll do a full pull. I think the advantage that you have is, you know, when oil gets into the combustion chamber, you take that 115 octane fuel, and it just, the second oil hits gas, it drastically deteriorates the octane rating.
Right.
But the fact that it's running so rich, I think it kind of counterbalances it. So you're not getting full power out of the motor, but I think it'll be safe. We'll be able to tell after we do some more testing.
All right, so I should get in the car, I should fire it up, and you should scream at me what to do? How's it work? This or this?
Yeah,
or this or
basically
this?
you'll be able to see the camera, I mean the TV from where you're sitting. And at that point, you know, we're going to run you through, I'll tell you the beginning end and I'll walk you through that part of it. As far as, that's if we're going to do the full throttle pull, to do the testing on it. If you want to go in vehicle simulation mode to do your little heel toe practice, then we could basically put you in that and then you just drive it, and then I'll change the load and change the conditions.
All right, well, let's start with the pull and see what we get, and we'll
Okay.
figure out the heel toe later. All right,
Sounds
so I'm
good.
going to get in the car. You guys plug your ears.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Well, that's the way it, yeah, it's got that one big key.
Yeah.
So,
Rob, you also got a tag stuff on this.
yeah, that's okay.
Is everything, is all up?
It's just, oh yeah,
You want to take it off?
take it off, man. It's just, I mean, the middle of the spare set of tires.
Is everything torqued down good?
Yeah. Ready?
Yep.
Shut it off.
It was acting rich. It's actually lean at an idle. That's why it fights you. You see it's 13 and a half. We should probably be around 12 to 1 right now.
Right.
That's why a thing's always, sometimes when it's too fat or too lean at idle, it'll act the same way. Right now, we can actually set the 3,000 RPM.
Okay.
I'm actually going to bump that to 3,500, so I want you to take it to 3,500 on your tack and hold it steady.
3,500.
Yeah, and then I'll lock it. And then by the time it comes down, the temperature will probably be good for a pull. Well, you gotta drive it. You gotta drive it. Fourth gear.
What gear?
Fourth. We're gonna match the two.
Oops.
The clutch is on the left side. Why don't we go ahead and shut it off? It'll come to a stop. This is what I want you to watch. It's real simple. Fourth gear, 2 grand. You'll see 2,000 RPMs here. I'll give you thumbs up. I'll hit start. Then I want you to watch here. You're just going to hold it to the floor till this thing says test complete. Put it in neutral. It'll come down. We're good to go. It made 305 horsepower.
305. Big numbers.
What's on? We're going to run it to 7,500.
Okay.
So try to get it a little closer to 2,000. We started that one around 2,300.
Okay.
So if we can get it, if we can do 2,000-ish, 2,100, and a little bit of throttle, and then I'll give you thumbs up, then you go wide open throttle.
Right. Alright, let's try it again.
Okay, you get going. Yeah, he held it there for a second. If you look at your tune, see, I like to look at raw data. You can kick that switch off. There'll just be a little smoke in here.
Fucking car. Scary.
Right?
It is. I don't mind it on the track. Just standing in one fucking place is scary.
You feel like you're gonna launch right off of there.
I don't know. It's disconcerting.
It's all right. This
Oh, you got the chocks in?
Little rubber chalk, you're good. So anything you see in magazines and everything else, they make it look better. So they're looking at smooth lines. You actually, being a tuner, you don't want to do that. You want to look at raw data because you want to know that it went pig rich, went a little bit lean, pig rich, you know, and it's, I mean, this isn't all that bad. When you look at the air fuel ratio for the fuel you're running, it's not that bad. It peaks up a little bit lean here, but overall, from the time you hit 4,500 up, it's not that bad. If you look at your horsepower and your torque, they're pretty flat considering it's raw data.
Right.
So overall, it's not bad. The whole bottom end was crazy lean. You can see when you initially get in it, it spikes up to 15%, 15 to 1 air fuel ratio.
Right.
And then it goes down to about 11.5, 11.6,
Right.
around that area. So it's like lean rich. That's why it's fighting you in the beginning and you have no bottom end. I expected to see, a lot of times you'll get spikes in here. The curves are actually pretty smooth considering.
It's a little better than I thought it was going to be,
It's
considering
absolutely better than I thought it was going to be.
considering the leak down test and
Yeah.
the results of that. But
Yeah.
All right.
So-
Well, 610 staying in the garage.
there you go. You can run it.
Like, I feel like you'd be a good dentist. Like, where you just go, you know, all things considered, it's not that bad. I mean, it'd be
Couple
nice if you
cavities,
flossed
no
a little
problem.
bit, but it's not that bad.
Toothpaste would be
It's
nice.
certainly, I expected
Maybe some
worse
soap.
than anything, just by the smell of things, you know.
Yeah.
But, so is there anything, is this engine is not worth tuning because of the condition it's in? Or?
To be honest with you, I mean, right now we don't know what the timing is. You know, we could dial this in a little bit better. I really don't want to push it.
Yeah, right.
Being as we have bank-to-bank issues. But I mean, overall, honestly, I'd probably run it the way it is. It's
right.
been consistent for you, so you know how it feels.
Yeah.
You just gotta fight that bottom end a little bit.
Yeah, just throw some
So-
more revs.
But
Yeah, no, I just hate it. I hate the guy standing next to your car in the pit and in the paddock, and you got his kid with him, and you fire it up, and he's blah, blah, blah,
And you
then
cover
fucking-
him in smoke.
Yeah, and he's like, "Wait, come on, I got my kid with me."
yeah,
So good, we know what it's doing.
yeah.
I got to tell you, it's so hairy. I can't imagine what it's like with a car that has 1,200 horsepower or something on it.
Believe it or not, you think that it'd be a lot crazier, and it's not. I mean, because what ends up happening, especially with like the big turbo cars, if you're putting over 1,000, we have actually axle straps and stuff to pull the rear end down in. It depends a lot on a tire, but if the tire doesn't spin, it just ramps really quick. So it'll pull, and then all of a sudden it's like you let it off.
Wow. So this thing, where does this thing stop pulling? Or is it hitting the rev limiter at like 72, 73?
Right now, it's probably around 7,500 RPMs. Because we did a match between the dyno and here, the higher the RPMs, we did it at 3,500. So the further away from 3,500 you get, the worse that air is. So I'm assuming it was 3500 when I did 3500. Chances are it wasn't.
Right.
So, when your rev limiter is probably at 75, we hit it at like 7350, 7400.
Right.
So there's about 200 RPM off.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, when you look at it, but it pulls right to red line.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
If we saw a situation where horsepower was falling off, torque was falling off,
Right.
honestly,
so you'd say, if you saw this, you'd say, well, shift it 67 because
Exactly.
you're losing it
Yeah.
after that. But this is pulling through
yeah,
73.
this right here is your boost. The red is your horsepower. The blue is your torque.
Right.
And the green is your air-fuel ratio.
Right.
So
So
when
we
you
can
look at
see
it-
it. Is that just the little flattening out there? Is that hitting the
Yeah.
rev limiter?
No, not
That's
at that
just
point.
us. That's just basically
That's the end of the
saying you're not making any more horsepower past this.
Beyond 72, I wouldn't run it.
Right. Not worth it. Okay. I think that's when the shift. I think that's when my shift light comes on.
Yeah.
So all right.
So I mean, that's the nice thing about having a dyno, because when you actually do a pull in 1-to-1, you're getting raw data, so you can see exactly where your shift points should be, where your torque starts to fall off, where the horsepower falls off, and as long as your air-fuel ratio is good, then you know where it's at. Like I said, the downside is we didn't hook up a laptop to know what our timing is
Right.
throughout this pull.
All right. Well,
So-
I'm scared. Thanks, Ray. That's awesome.